So we're in the final act of the play Julius Caesar, scene 1 of Act 5. Enter Octavius, Antony, and their army. So the three generals, Octavius Caesar, Mark Antony, and their armies, are at Philippi, the battleground of Philippi. Octavius says to Mark Antony, "Now, Antony, our hopes are answered. You said the enemy would not come down but keep the hills and upper regions. It proves not so. The battles are at hand. They mean to warn us at Philippi here, answering before we do demand of them." So Octavius tells Antony that their hopes, what they had hoped for, their hopes have come true. Antony had said that Cassius's and Brutus's army would not come down to Philippi, but they'd keep the hills and upper regions. But that has not happened. They've come down the hills, and the battles are about to begin. So Octavius says that Brutus and Cassius's army mean to warn them that they're going to conquer them. And Antony replies, "Tut, I am in their bosoms, and I know wherefore they do it. They could be content to visit other places and come down with fearful bravery, thinking by this face to fasten in our thoughts that they have courage, but is not so." So Antony tells Octavius that he knows the real reason why Brutus and Cassius have come to Philippi. He is in their bosoms, and he knows why they have done that. They could have been satisfied to stay in other places, Sardis, for example, and come down as Antony and Octavius's army were climbing the hills. They could have come down on them with a fearful bravery. But now they mean to show that they have courage. But Antony says they don't have courage. They are not brave. Enter a messenger. Messenger, prepare your generals. The enemy comes on in gallant show. The bloody sign of battle is hung out, and something to be done immediately. So messenger tells the generals, Mark Antony and Octavius Caesar, that their enemy comes on in a brave and gallant show, and their battle flag, the bloody sign of battle, the battle flag is hung out, and they have to do something immediately. Antony, Octavius, lead your battle softly upon the left hand of the even field. So Antony tells Octavius to go to the left hand of the field, and Octavius replies, "Upon the right hand, I keep thou the left." So Octavius says, "I will go on the right hand," and he tells Antony to keep to the left side of the field. Antony asks, "Why do you cross me in this exigence?" So Antony asks why Octavius why Octavius is arguing with him in this important point, this exigent. Octavius says, "I do not cross you, but I will do so." So Octavius says he doesn't mean to argue with Antony, but he will keep to the right side of the battlefield. They march. Drum. There's a beating of drums. Enter Brutus, Cassius, and their army, including Lucilius, Titinius, and Messala. Brutus. They stand and would have parley. So Brutus says the enemy armies have halted, and they mean to have parley. They mean to talk with Brutus and Cassius. So Cassius, stand fast, Titinius, we must out and talk. So Cassius says they must leave the ranks and talk with the enemy armies. Octavius, Mark Antony, shall we give sign of battle? Antony, no, Caesar, we will answer on their charge. Made for the generals would have some words. So Octavius asked Antony if they should signal the battle, their armies to charge. Antony says that they should not at that moment, and he asks Octavius to go with him to have some words with Brutus and Cassius, with the enemy generals. Octavius to his officers, stir not until the signal. So Octavius instructs his officers to not move until the signal is given. The generals step forward. Brutus, words before blows. Is it so, countrymen? So Brutus asks if they would want to speak some things before they come to the actual battle. Octavius, not that we love words better as you do. So Octavius tells Brutus that Brutus, loves to talk. Brutus, good words are better than bad strokes, Octavius. So Brutus says that good words are better than a badly fought fight, meaning that Octavius is not a good fighter. Antony, in your bad strokes, Brutus, you give good words. Witness the hole you made in Caesar's heart, crying, long live Hail Caesar. So Antony reminds Brutus of what he has done on the 15th of March in the indiscriminate stabbing that they gave Caesar. They spoke well. And even as Brutus made the hole in Caesar's heart, Brutus cried, long live Hail Caesar. Brutus, Cassius says, Antony, the posture of your blows are yet unknown, but for your words they do rob the Hybla bees and leave them honeyless. So Cassius tells Antony that he doesn't know how Antony is going to give his blows, how Antony is going to fight, but as for Antony's words, they're so sweet, like that they rob the Hybla bees. The Hybla bees produce the sweetest honey, and Antony's words rob the Hybla bees of the honey and leave them honeyless. Antony says, not stingless too. So he is going to fight back. Brutus, oh yes, and soundless too, for you have stolen their buzzing, Antony, and very wisely threat before you sting. So Brutus says, indeed, Antony's words are sweet, and Antony's also robbed the Hybla bees of their buzzing sound, and he's threatening them before they fight. Antony, villains, you did not so when your wild daggers hacked one another in the sides of Caesar. You showed your teeth like apes, and fawned like hounds, and bowed like Bonhomme, kissing Caesar's feet, while damned Casca, like a cur from behind, struck Caesar on the neck. Oh, you flatterers. So Antony says, you did not threaten, you did not say what you intended to do to Caesar as the daggers cut the sides of Caesar open. Even as they approached Caesar, they showed their teeth like apes in smiles, and they begged and pleaded with Caesar. They fawned on him like hounds, like dogs, and they bowed like servant, and they kissed Caesar's feet, even as Casca, like a stray dog, came from behind, struck Caesar on the neck. Oh, you flatterers, says Antony. Cassius, flatterers, now Brutus, thank yourself. This tongue had not offended, so today if Cassius might have ruled. So Cassius says, you're calling us flatterers? Now he asks Brutus, it's because of him that Antony is living and insulting them on that day. If Cassius had his way, if things had gone according to Cassius's plan, then Antony would have been killed along with Caesar on the 15th of March. Octavius, come, the cause. If arguing makes us sweat, the proof of it will turn to red drops. Look, I draw a sword against conspirators. So Octavius, uh, he says that if only talking, if only arguing makes them sweat, uh, the result will show in the blood that will spill on that day. So he takes out a sword and challenges the conspirators. He draws. When think you that the sword goes up again? He says. When do you think the sword will be put back in its sheath, will be put back in its cover? Never till Caesar's 330 wounds be well avenged, or till another Caesar have added slaughter to the sword of traitors. So he says he will not cover his sword again in its sheath till the 33 wounds of Caesar are avenged, or if another Caesar, that is he himself, Octavius Caesar, shall die at the hands of traitors like Cassius and Brutus. Brutus, Caesar, thou canst not die by traitors' hands unless thou bringest them with me. So, Octavius, so I hope I was not born to die on Brutus's sword. Brutus, oh, if thou wert the noblest of thy strain, young man, thou couldst not die more honorable. So, Brutus tells him that even if he were the noblest of the lineage of Caesars in Rome, he could not hope to have a more honorable death than at the hands of Brutus. Cassius, a peevish schoolboy, worthless of such honor, joined with a masker and a reveler. So Cassius says of Mark Antony and Octavius that Octavius is a schoolboy who's sulking, who is irritated, and he's worthless. He's not worthy of the honor of dying by Brutus's sword, and he has joined with a masker and a reveler, a partygoer who stays long nights. That is Mark Antony. Antony, old Cassius still. So Antony says that Cassius has not changed and is still like he was in the old times. Octavius, come, Antony, away. Defiance, traitors, hurl we in your teeth. If you dare fight today, come to the field. If not, when you have stomachs. Octavius, Antony, and their army exit. So Octavius finally tells them that they're going to defy Cassius and Brutus. He calls them traitors, and he tells them if they dare to fight that day, he tells them to come to the battlefield. If they do not, they can come when they have strength enough, when they have stomachs enough. So Cassius, why now? Blow wind, swell below, and swim bark. The storm is up and all is on the hazard. So now the battle is going to begin, and it's like a storm on the sea. The wind will blow fiercely, heavily, and the billow, that is the waves, will swell, the waves will rise very high, and the bark, that is the ship, has to swim, has to sail, and the storm is on, and everything they have is at risk, is going to is on the chance occurrings of that day. Brutus